Welcome to Chuck Builds. Today we're talking about Zigbee. We'll be using a Sonoff coordinator and an Akara motion sensor, and I'm going to share some of the tips and tricks that I've learned along the way to make sure that you get the best performance possible. Before we get into our Home Assistant installation, we need to order some hardware. I am strongly recommending the Sonoff USB Zigbee module. I have tried other competitors like the Nortec, which is a combination Z-Wave Zigbee, and that didn't work for me, or the Conb2, which kind of worked and kind of had some issues and required several firmware updates. And it was just a whole lot of hassle and more expensive than the Sonoff. So I would strongly suggest that you spend the time to get the Sonoff USB Zigbee dongle. And additionally, you're going to want to get a USB extender. I have an Amazon Basics one. This will help extend range and reduce interference. And for the additional price, it's well worth it to just rule out any issues that you might have by not extending it. To use Zigbee, we'll need a local messaging protocol. I'm going to be using MQTT, and we can download that in Home Assistant by going to Settings, Add-ons, and then the Add-on Store. And we can see right here on the top, there's Mosquito Broker. That's an official add-on. If you don't see that, you can search for it, but I will just be clicking it here and then clicking Install. Next, we'll go back to the add-ons and then the add-on store, and we can search for Zigbee2MQTT, but it will not be there, and that's because the repository is not a part of Home Assistant that is out of the box, but we can add that. So we'll go to the top right here where there's three dots and then repositories, and we can paste it there, or if we go to the Zigbee2MQTT GitHub, there's a button we can click right here that'll open up in our Home Assistant and add it for us. I'm going to just copy and paste it from here because I want you to see it and not just magically appear. So we'll go to these three dots, repositories, paste the link, and then click add. And once you've added that, if you give it a moment and click check for updates, they will pop up right here. And we'll be using this first Zigbee2MQTT and just clicking install. So next we'll go to the actual device that's running Home Assistant. Here I have my computer from my previous video, and I'm going to plug in the Sonoff adapter to the USB extender and just place it on the counter, and then I'm going to plug it in. And we'll go back to Home Assistant. And once the dongle's been plugged in and you're back in Home Assistant, we'll go to Settings, System, and then Hardware. And then we'll click this All Hardware button, and we're going to scroll down till we see something called TTY. And we have a TTY USB 0 right here, and we can see it's the Sonoff Zigbee 3.0 dongle. We'll just click on this and we can get the device path right here that is /dev/TTY USB 0, and I'll just copy that. Then we'll go back to Settings, Add-ons, and then Zigbee2MQTT, the Configuration tab, and then we'll come down to Serial and type port, and then we can paste our /dev/TTY USB 0 and click Save. And then we can come to the Info tab and press Start. Make sure that your Mosquito Broker is also running at this time. And we can go to the log section of Zigbee2MQTT and make sure that we have no errors and that Zigbee2MQTT has started. So from the Info tab, we can then click Open Web UI. This next step is optional, but I'd highly recommend that you follow me through this. When I first set up my Zigbee network, I was having some issues with dropout and range. And after doing lots of troubleshooting, checking online, trying different batteries, getting different repeaters, I found out that there is a setting for Zigbee that you can change the band that it's on, and the Zigbee network protocol is very, very similar to Wi-Fi. And so what we'll be doing is going to settings inside of Zigbee2MQTT, going to advanced, and then we're going to be checking the Zigbee channel here, and that by default it's on 11. We're going to log into your phone and check your Wi-Fi strength. Wi-Fi and Zigbee both operate in the 2.4 gigahertz range, and with this graphic from MetaGeek, we can kind of see how the overlap of Zigbee channels and Wi-Fi channels interact. So if you have your Zigbee channel set to 11, you want to make sure that your Wi-Fi is not in channel 1. Just really trying to minimize overlap in that your Zigbee channel isn't on the peak or the ramp of any one of these Wi-Fi channel colors. If you're on an iPhone, you can go to the App Store and download the Airport utility from Apple, and then go to your app settings and enable Wi-Fi scanner at the bottom, and then start your scan, and it's going to list networks as your phone sees them. And all I'm looking for here is really anything that says channel 1. And I will scroll through quickly and see that all the strongest signals, I'm not seeing channel 1 on my network area. To check on a Windows computer, we can open a new tab and search for Nearsoft. They have a software called Wi-Fi Info View, and there's a download link right here at the top for 64-bit. And I'll just open this up and run the software. Once we're inside of the tool, we can see a bunch of different networks and bands that are coming through. There's some filters we can do. We can see my network here, Dallas, is pretty strong with the bars and the signal strength. But what we're really concerned about is the channel. And so with my Zigbee channel of 11, we're worried about Wi-Fi channel 1 on the 2.4 gigahertz frequency. And there are several here, but they're all pretty weak. There's one that must be a neighbor's that's 2 or 3 bars. I'm not going to worry about that as much. If there was tons of channel 1 and my home network was on channel 1, I would probably take the time to switch my Zigbee network. But right now, I'm not too worried about this. Even with one band coming through from a neighbor, I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem for me. Whereas if I was on channel 6, I'd be a little bit more concerned, as there's some pretty significant signals coming through on that channel. When choosing a Zigbee device to connect to your network, I would strongly encourage that you check the Zigbee2MQTT.io website and then go to their supported devices page before you purchase anything. With this Sonoff controller, you should be able to connect to most things, but it's always good to double check. There are tons of devices that are out there that are Zigbee protocol, but they might not all work with Zigbee2MQTT. There's a ton out there. Just double check before you spend any money. So I have with me today an Akera motion sensor. And before we start pressing any buttons on this device, we'll go to the web UI for Zigbee2MQTT, and then we'll click this button right here, Permit Join, and it's going to start a clock that we have a window to connect our devices. This is just a decent practice to keep your network secure, that random things can't join. I wouldn't sweat it too much, but if you're sitting here pressing the button and you're wondering why it's not working, double check that your join is enabled. And there's a little button right here that I'll be pressing to get it to pair. I'm just going to be pressing and holding, and the pairing type changes by device. I'm going to hold this for about 10 seconds, and we should get a series of flashes, and it should pop up on the screen. So that, yep, there we go. So now it's doing its handshake, where it's sending information to the coordinator or to Zigbee2MQTT and saying like, hey, I've got these sensors, this battery level, but we'll give it a moment to get all connected, and then we'll dive in with some more. So now the device is loaded in Zigbee2MQTT, and it has this name. The address is its default name. We can click on that and we can see a little picture of our sensor. We've got the model of it, the manufacturer, the description. If we go to the Exposes tab, we can see the battery, whether it's occupied, the temperature, voltage of the battery, and then the brightness in the room. So if I were to cover this up, we can see the lux should start dropping. But by the way that Zigbee works, it's not all that fast. It's a low power network. So you're going to get an update every now and then. It's quick enough for me, but it's not necessarily as fast as Wi-Fi where you'd be getting like a stream of constant data. But we can see occupied, and then if I turn it away from me in a period of time, it should determine that it's no longer occupied. So what I would do with my device is I'd come through and press this blue button, rename device, and then check this tab to update the entity ID in Home Assistant. And we'll just call this Chuck Builds Motion Sensor, and then click rename, and it'll pop up with that name here. And I just want to show you how this shows up in Home Assistant. So we'll go back to Settings, Devices. Inside of Devices, we'll just have our MQTT. We haven't really set this up yet, so I'll click Configure and then Submit, and it's finished. Once it's finished installing, you can click on the MQTT integration here. Sorry, I had to pause to move my head so you could see it. And inside we can see we have one device and 8 entities. When we click on the one device, we can see the name up here, Chuck Builds Motion Sensor, and the sensors that are shown. We've got the lux, the occupancy, and the power outage count. And then under diagnostic, the battery and temperature are still unknown. That should check in at some point throughout the day. So these sensors are the entities that we would use for our automations. It can be a little confusing hearing sensors and then also entity, but another way to check that would be in your settings, devices and services, and then going to the entities tab. We should see now that we have an MQTT section with the Chuck Builds Motion Sensor and what it's exposing. If we go to devices, we will also see that as an MQTT integration device right here. As you get more and more sensors, it's good to know how to find it and where the entities are so you have the exact name of what you're looking for. This entity ID of binary sensor Chuck Builds Motion Sensor occupancy is what would be used when calling this specific occupancy sensor for an automation. We're pretty much done here, but the last thing I'll call out is inside of Zigbee2MQTT, you'll want to likely switch this toggle for watchdog, which means if it crashes, it turns back on. Auto update, I leave on, it hasn't broken anything for me yet, and then show in sidebar so that I can quickly get to it right here. Additionally, I'd go to Mosquito Broker and also enable watchdog and auto update just so you don't have to worry about it and it's always running. Thanks for watching another Chuck Builds video. I hope everything worked for you, but if not, please leave a comment or get a hold of me on Twitter or Instagram @ChuckBuilds, and I'll do the best I can to help you. Please subscribe for future videos where we have similar topics coming up, such as my preferred Zigbee devices and some of my favorite automations using these devices.